Good morning. Returning to a consideration of the book Cinderella with Amnesia, Michael Griffiths makes a distinction between the English and German words for Greek, for church, that derives from the Greek word Kyriakos, meaning the Lord's house, and the French and French and Welsh words for church, which is église in French and eglwys in Welsh, which refers to, which comes from the Latin word, from the Greek word, ecclesia, which literally means called out ones. So we see here that the church is not a building, but a gathering and collection of God's people, the congregation. So turning again to consider Michael Griffiths' references to the church as a body. I go back to notes that I prepared for a series of sermons on the church that I delivered when I was the pastor of the Plymouth Church in the 1980s. And one of the things that, first things that Michael Griffiths draws our attention to is the unity of the body. Paul is disturbed by the divisions in the Corinthian church, and so writes, urging that you all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. 1 Corinthians 1 and verse 10. The great thought behind this verse is that we all belong to Christ, and all true believers are members of his body. It is for this reason that believers are to be eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all. Ephesians 4, 3-6. This unity of the body is directed against divisiveness and faction. There is something very intense and strong about this phrase which Paul uses here, which ought to make us sit up and think. This unity of the Spirit is not something which we can create. It is a gift from God which he has granted us as we come together as his body. But it is a unity which has to be preserved by each company and fellowship of believers. It must be worked at by each member of the fellowship. Any congregation or assembly of Christians contains not only a pyramid of ages, but a spectrum of opinions, and that means that sometimes we are going to have to disagree. We're going to have disagreements and differences of views. We must learn to be tolerant of each other's views and agree to disagree on certain issues and not make them a continual bone of contention among us, so that the harmony of the Spirit's working among us is spoiled by harmony by bickering and party spirit. In my experience, small and minor doctrinal issues have had far more devastating an effect upon congregations than major issues. And can I say at this point also that the increasing expression of political views on Facebook and other social media can, if we allow it to, create great schisms in fellowship between members of the local congregation. I, for all my life, have held very strong political views, and I have not been afraid to express them. But I have to realise that my political views, although very strongly held, don't make me right on every issue. And I have to allow, certainly allow respect for the views of other people. And so in areas like political debate, but just small areas like our interrelationship, our making quotes fun of each other in what we would consider to be perfectly harmless mode, can at times wind our fellow believers up, and we need to be aware of situations like that and not allow petty differences and expressions to spoil and maintain the unity of the Spirit. Of course, the deeper one's personal relationships gets with people, the easier it is to override small and sometimes even big differences of opinion. I have very close personal friends who would be miles apart from me politically, and who would rag me and pull my leg on issues, and they don't affect me because of the years of relationships that we have built up. We must earn the right to be able to exchange views together, to differ, and to get into the place where we can pull one another's legs. We must earn the right to do that with people, and that can only be done through the building up of relationships. Not only must we do all that we can to maintain the unity of the Spirit, but we must recognise the diversity of the members of the body of Christ. The one outstanding feature concerning the body is that its members are diverse. We do not all fulfill the same role and function. We have different parts to play within the body of Christ. And this is what body ministry is all about. So we, each of us as a member of the body, has some particular part to play. Paul reminds us of this in Romans 12:4-6, and goes on to list as examples of what he has in mind. Paul would have little use for the autocratic one-man leader type of church that we sadly sometimes see even in church today. He would encourage each member of the body to to express itself in conjunction with the ability and the gift that God has given to him or her within that body. Just as the gifts differ, so also do the natures of the individuals who make up the congregation. God never intended that we should be alike as peas in a pod. Recognize the fact that you are not exactly the same as me. Rejoice in that fact, as I do. For God has only one of you, as he has only one of me. And this has always been one of the greatest hindrances to the development of body ministry within the local assembly. So I close today by reminding you of this theme that Michael Griffiths emphasized in his little book, Cinderella with Amnesia. The diversity of its members and the interdependence of the members one of another. We belong to each other. We rely on each other as much well, maybe not as much, but certainly in the same way as we rely upon Christ. We have a vertical relationship with Christ and a horizontal relationship with the body. May God bless you.